welcome back to another Darkened Eyes vaping video. I know it's been quite a few years since I've done one of these, however recently I was contacted by the nice folks at Ecigs, and they asked me to do an impartial review of a few of their juices for them. So here we are. The first one I'm going to talk about is their Midnight Apple Juice. I received 3 juices from them, and this is the one I've probably used the most out of. They sent it to me in this nice 30 ml dropper bottle, and let me talk about the bottle really quick. The bottle is glass. At least it feels like glass to me. So I'm very, very wary of taking this bottle out, simply because I tend to carry a bottle, normally of a menthol, in my pocket with me when I go to work, because I tend to drip into my silver bullet here with its extra large low resistance cartomizer. I have a tank for it, but I don't use it very often. I'm still working out. I tend to use a lot more juice when I use tanks, and I don't have a lot on hand all the time. So I tend to do just straight dripping. However, the dropper that's in here is rather nice. It is graduated, and it has markings all the way up to 1 milliliter in quarter milliliter increments. So it is very easy to use. However, because it's sitting in the juice, you do want to make sure you wipe it across the top of the bottle before you go to drip. Otherwise, you'll end up with juice all over your hands or all over your device. But the dropper is very sensitive to your finger pressure, so it grabs juice and lets juice out very, very easily. Now, as for the juice itself, it's a very, very smoky, if you want to call it that, flavor. There's a green apple undertone to it, but it's primarily like a smoky tobacco flavor that has the green apple underneath it rather than the apple being the primary focus of it. The vapor production is fairly good. Now I get my juices in 12 milligram. So the throat hit on this is not particularly great. And that may just be attributed to the lower nicotine content. So if you're into heavier throat hits, you may want to get a higher nicotine strength juice. But overall, it is a very, very good juice. It's not something I could vape every day as a constant thing, but it's nice to have as a something to come home to when you're sitting at the computer or sitting on the couch watching TV or something, as a different juice to whatever standard juice you may take out with you. The next juice I have here is one they call HX3, and this one actually baffled me for a little bit. Reading their site, it's supposed to be a new blend of a tobacco flavor, and to be honest, I really can't see it. To me, it tastes a lot more like an energy drink, like a Red Bull or a Monster, because it's very, very tangy, very tart, and that's just not something I don't drink energy drinks personally, so the flavor of this is not something I can use very often, and out of the sampler bottle of this they sent me, I've barely used this. I'm actually probably going to give this to, or at least let a few people at work try it to see if they like it. Because there are a few people at the office I work at that tend to drink a lot of energy drinks and are also vapors. But in terms of the other stuff, their vapor production is pretty much on par with the Midnight Apple. Halo's juices all seem to have the same base to them, so they all have very, very similar vapor production. And again, this is also 12 mil. This has a slightly higher throat hit than the Apple, which I'm pretty much attributing to the tartness or the tangy flavor to it. And if you pay really close attention, there is a very, very, very subtle menthol undertone to it, but it's not very heavy at all. So if you're into menthols that are menthols, I wouldn't recommend this unless, again, you like energy drink type flavors as well. The final juice I've got is what they call Mystic Menthol, and this is a very, very minty menthol. It is almost like a spearmint or a peppermint certs, or any like an Altoid or some other mint. It's very, very tasty. The best way I can describe it is almost like you're inhaling a cool breeze, which is actually what I tend to look for in menthols nowadays. Is I don't look for something to simulate, the tobacco-iness of a menthol cigarette. I look for coolness, or that cool feeling you get when you're you're basically inhaling a mint. And this hits that pretty much spot on. Again, the vapor production is the same across pretty much all three of these juices that I've tried. So it's got very, very good vapor production. The only downside I can see to these bottles as they are is they don't list their PG VG mix on them. So I don't, and I don't believe their website shows that either. From experience, these seem to be a little bit higher in PG than most of the 50-50 juices I get. I tend to order a lot of juices that are a 50-50 mix of PG and VG. These seem like they may be more of a 70-30 mix. But if you're really interested in that, you may want to contact them and see what kind of ratio of PG to VG they use when they're making these juices. Because again, I couldn't find it anywhere. But they're not as I don't want to say gloopy, because 50-50 juices aren't really that gloopy. I have a bottle here from my normal supplier, and the Halo juices definitely seem to be a little bit more liquidy than them, but it's not a gigantic difference. So again, I'd say it's 70-30 at most, maybe even 60-40. All of these, again, they're very, very well produced juices. They're all U.S. made, so they ship pretty quickly. They told me these were shipping, and I got them within 2 days. So their shipping process is very, very expedient. So these are definitely getting, Halo is definitely getting a recommendation. They are a little bit more expensive from the place I normally order from, which is a little bit of a downside for me, because I tend to look for not only very good juices, but good and cheap juices, because I don't always have a lot of on-hand cash to spend on juice whenever I put an order in. But they're not so expensive as they're going to break your bank. I believe they charge, let me pull up the site here. And I believe they're $7.95 for a 10 milliliter bottle. But let me really quickly. Okay, they're 7 milliliter plastic bottle, which is this size. Cost $5.99, and their 30 milliliter bottle which is the nice big glass one here, is $19.99, which again is definitely more expensive than some of the places I've ordered from, but not ridiculously over the top. But their customer service was very, very friendly when I talked to them. The juice quality level is very high, so again, I can definitely give Halo a recommendation. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, keep your eyes open. We're watching.